creation and the fall. Before there was time, there was silence. Not the quiet that follows a sound, but a vast, endless stillness, unchanging, unbroken. There was no up or down, no before or after. Only God existed within that silence, whole and complete, needing nothing, lacking nothing. Then God spoke. The voice did not echo, for there was nowhere for it to return from. Yet the silence trembled at the sound, as if it had been waiting. Let there be light. Light burst forth not gently, but with force, tearing through the darkness like a wound. It spilled outward in all directions, separating itself from the dark. Where the light touched, space was born. Where the darkness remained, mystery lingered. God saw the light and called it good. Time began to move. God separated the waters above from the waters below and stretched the sky between them. The sky was wide and endless, a great breath drawn across existence. Beneath it, the waters churned, restless and deep. Then God spoke again, and the land rose. Mountains clawed upward, valleys sank low. The seas gathered into their places, and the dry ground stood firm. God clothed the land with life grass first, then plants, then trees heavy with fruit. Each seed carried the promise of more life within it. The world began to breathe. God filled the sky with lights, the sun to rule the day, the moon to guard the night, and countless stars scattered like sparks across the heavens. They marked time, seasons, beginnings, and endings. The waters were filled with creatures that swam and twisted and glimmered. The sky filled with birds whose wings learned the language of wind. The land filled with animals, some small and quick, some vast and slow, each shaped with intention. Still, something was missing. So God formed a man. From the dust of the ground, God shaped a body, hands, feet, a face turned upward. It was lifeless at first, no more than earth molded into form. Then God breathed into his nostrils, and the breath of life entered him. The man opened his eyes. He was called Adam, for he was born of the ground. He stood beneath the sky, surrounded by a world too large to understand. Every breath was new. Every sound startled him. The wind brushed his skin, and he laughed, though he did not yet know why. God placed Adam in a garden called Eden, a place unlike any other. Rivers flowed clear and endless. Trees bore fruit without decay. No leaf withered, no creature feared another. The garden existed in perfect balance, untouched by hunger, pain, or death. God walked with Adam there. Adam learned the names of animals, and as he named them, they became known to him. Yet among all living things, Adam was alone. No creature spoke as he did. No creature looked back at him with understanding. God saw this and said, "It is not good for man to be alone." So God caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep. From his side, God formed another bone of his bone, flesh of his flesh. When Adam awoke and saw her, recognition filled him, though he had no word for it yet. She was called Eve, the mother of all living. Together, they lived in Eden, unashamed. They did not hide from one another or from God. There was no fear in them, no need to protect themselves. The world gave freely, and they received without question. God gave them one command. They could eat from every tree in the garden except one. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil stood at the center of Eden, its fruit heavy and bright. "On the day you eat from it," God said, "you will surely die." Adam and Eve listened. They did not yet understand death, but they trusted the voice that had made them. And so, time passed. But Eden was not empty of watchers. Among the creatures God had made was the serpent, more subtle than any other. It moved without sound, its eyes bright with an ancient awareness. It had watched creation unfold and had learned the power of words. One day, when Adam was away, the serpent spoke to Eve. "Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" Eve turned, startled, but not afraid. Speech was natural in Eden, even from unexpected mouths. "We may eat from the trees," she answered, "but not from the tree in the center. God said that if we eat from it or even touch it, we will die." The serpent coiled closer, its voice smooth. "You will not die," it said. "God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened. You will be like God, knowing good and evil." Eve looked at the tree. She had passed it many times without thought. Now she saw it differently. The fruit looked rich, perfect, alive with promise. A hunger stirred in her, not of the body, but of the mind. Why would knowledge be forbidden? Why would God keep something from them? The serpent watched silently as the question took root. Eve reached out. Her fingers closed around the fruit. Nothing happened. She brought it to her lips and bit. The taste was sharp and sweet, and in that instant, the world changed. Understanding crashed into her like a storm. She saw herself clearly for the first time, and the sight burned. She saw Adam not just as companion, but as other. She saw the garden not just as gift, but as something that could be lost. She gave the fruit to Adam. He hesitated only a moment before eating. Their eyes were opened. Shame flooded them. They saw their nakedness and felt exposed, fragile, incomplete. They tore leaves from the trees and bound them around their bodies, clumsy and desperate. For the first time, they hid. When God walked through the garden that evening, Adam and Eve shrank back among the trees. "Adam," God called, "where are you?" Adam's voice trembled when he answered, "I heard you, and I was afraid, because I was naked." "Who told you that you were naked?" God asked. "Have you eaten from the tree?" Adam looked at Eve. Eve looked at the serpent. The chain of blame was born. Judgment followed. The serpent was cursed to crawl and be hated. Eve was condemned to pain in childbirth and struggle. Adam was sentenced to labor, to sweat and exhaustion. The ground itself was cursed because of him. And death entered the world not all at once, but inevitably. God drove them from Eden. At the garden's edge, angels stood with flaming swords, turning every direction. The way back was sealed. Adam and Eve stepped into a world where thorns grew, where bodies aged, where every life would end. Behind them, Eden remained perfect. Ahead of them lay history, and though God clothed them before they left, the sound of the garden closing behind them followed humanity forever.